Dylan, would you lead us in pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Victor, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Yes. Father God in heaven, we come to you humbly in the mighty name of Jesus. We want to thank you for everything that you're doing, God. Everything that's plainly seen and everything that's not seen. God, we thank you for working in the city of Monte-Vista. God, we ask for your direction, Lord, as we make decisions tonight. God, we will take this in the mighty name of Jesus.
Peter, roll call, please.
Counselor Johnson,
Here.
Counselor Foster,
Present.
Counselor Segola,
Here.
Counselor Locke. Here. Mayor Becker.
Here.
The quorum is declared.
Okay, modifications to agenda.
Yes, sir, there is one modification. We would like to add L2 to contracts. It's the proposal from Alcon for the storm drains and the building pad at Sky High.
I will move to approve the modifications to the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to modify the agenda to add L2 for Alcon for the storm drain and the pad. Is there any more discussion? Nita?
Counselor Locke.
Aye.
Counselor Foster.
Aye.
Counselor Johnson.
Aye.
Counselor Segola.
Aye.
Mayor Becker.
Aye.
Motion carries to approve the modification.
Okay, approval of consent agenda, minutes regular meeting July 16th, review and approval of accounts payable.
I so move.
Yes, second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any more discussion? Nita?
Counselor Foster.
Aye.
Counselor Locke.
Aye.
Counselor Segola.
Aye.
Counselor Johnson.
Aye.
Mayor Becker.
Aye.
Motion carries to approve the consent agenda.
Proclamations, communications, and appointments. 5 years of service.
Do we need to do accounts payable? Accounts payable, isn't that? We just, oh, we did the accounts payable and the agenda? Okay. Sorry, my bad.
All right.
Swearing in of new police officer, Robbie Martinez. Welcome back.
I, Robert Richard, I, Robbie Martinez, do solemnly swear or affirm perjury. I, Robbie Martinez, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the State of America and all support the Constitution of the State of Colorado, the City of Monte-Vista Charter, and ordinances, and will faithfully perform the duties of police officer. And I will faithfully perform the duties of police officers which I have been appointed. Which I have been appointed. Which I am about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations.
All right. Oh, boy. I want to get in this. All right.
National Health Center Week proclamation for 2020. From Valleywide, it's the National Health Center Week 2020 proclamation. Community health centers lighting the way for healthier communities today and in the future. Whereas for over 50 years, community health centers have provided high quality, affordable, comprehensive primary and preventative health care in our nation's underserved communities, delivering value to and having a significant impact on America's health care system. Whereas the country's largest primary care network, community health centers are the health care home for 30 million Americans in over 14,000 communities across the nation. 1 in every 12 people in the United States gets their care in a community health center. Whereas community health centers are a critical element of the health system, serving both rural and urban communities and often providing the only accessible and dependable source of primary care in their communities nationwide. Community health centers serve 1 in every 5 residents of rural areas. Whereas every day community health centers develop new approaches to integrating a wide range of services beyond primary care, including oral health, vision, behavioral health, and pharmacy services to meet the needs and challenges of their communities. Whereas community health centers are governed by patient majority boards, ensuring that the patients of each health center are engaged in their own healthcare decisions. Whereas community health centers are locally owned and operated, small businesses that serve as critical economic engines, helping to power local economies by generating $54.6 billion in economic activity in some of the country's most economically deprived communities. Whereas community health centers nationally employ more than 236,000 people, including physicians, nurses, practitioners, physician's assistants, and certified nurse and midwives who work as part of multidisciplinary clinical teams designed to treat the whole patient. Whereas the community health center models continue to prove an effective means of overcoming barriers to healthcare access, including geography, income, and insurance status, improving healthcare outcomes, and reducing healthcare costs. Whereas community health centers reduce overall cost of care by helping manage patients' chronic conditions, which keep them out of costlier healthcare settings like hospital emergency rooms. Whereas community health centers are in the front lines of emerging healthcare crises, providing access to care for the nation's veterans, addressing the opioid epidemic, and responding to public health threats in the wake of natural disasters. Whereas National Health Center Week offers the opportunity to celebrate America's over 1,400 health center organizations with over 12,000 service delivery sites. Their dedicated staff, board members, patients, and all those responsible for their continued success and growth since the first health center opened their doors more than 50 years ago. Whereas during National Health Center Week, we celebrate the legacy of America's community health centers and their vital role in shaping the past, present, and future of America's healthcare system. Now, therefore, I, Dale Becker, Mayor of Monte-Vista, do hereby proclaim August 9th through 15th, 2020 as National Healthcare Week. I encourage all to take part in this week by celebrating the important partnership between Valleywide Health Systems, Inc. and the communities it serves.
Oh,
That's really cool.
it is?
Stand around over here.
I don't think so. That's impossible.
Okay. We don't have any scheduled appearances today. Okay. Citizen comments. City Council welcomes your unscheduled comments. Please limit comments to 3 minutes. Council will not take action at the same meeting. Yes, sir. Please step up to the mic. Write your name down. Please, sir.
Good evening.
Ken Hamco, those of you that don't know me. A couple things I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention, because we've been working on it for the last couple weeks. We have been working with the Colorado Office of Tourism to increase our presence on Colorado.com. And right now it's specifically Monte-Vista's presence. So if you get a chance to go to Colorado.com and then you go to cities and you go to Monte-Vista, take a look. We changed all the pictures on there. We have a local artist or photographer, Ken Michaels, that has a book over in the library. We took his pictures and put it on our site there. Some really nice pictures of downtown and the skate park and the fair and a couple other things. So we changed that out because originally we had one picture on there, which was the crane field. That was it. So we did that. And then if you are so inclined to read the verbiage underneath all that, we changed all the verbiage also. So it's a little more appealing, I think, as far as Monte-Vista tourism. Statistics on it are about 40,000 people last year called the state of Colorado and asked for tourism information. And then we have actually, they gave us the statistics that I didn't bring with me on how many people actually requested information from the valley. And if you went to that website and looked at it, I wouldn't come to Monte-Vista. You know. So we're working on it. We're working on it. The other step to that is that you'll see there's little icons on the top that have like lodging and restaurants and all that. And there are more, under Monte-Vista, there are more Del Norte, South Fork businesses listed than there are on Monte-Vista. So we put a letter together with all the information on it on how to go online and put your business in there. And we sent that out to all tourism-related businesses. The only one that's gotten on there so far is SL Voice, which took about 24 hours to get up. You know, they filed it and it took about 24 hours. So, but the goal for that is to have all of our restaurants and our shops and any other tourist items that we have in town listed on Monte-Vista, so people know there's stuff to do when they come to Monte-Vista. So just a little project that we were playing with. But if you get a chance, go to Colorado.com and take a look. It's really making some improvements. So that's that 3 minutes. Can I have another? It's another subject. So Swoop of the Cranes. We met last week on the Swoop of the Cranes. That's our crane things downtown there. We are going to, actually 34 now, artists and sponsors are going to buy their cranes back. So, which leaves us about 16 that might go to auction. And we're looking at that, an eBay auction at the end of August. But we are also, and all that information will come out here shortly, but we're also going to have one last push for people to go and vote. And we'll get that out to everybody also. So maybe they can get out and walk the street and take a look at them and do one last vote before we start taking them down. So, you know, it's good news. We formed a committee, the chamber formed a committee for next year's project. So we are going to do the cranes again next year. I'm not the chairman. But anyways, it's moving along well, and I hate to see them come down though, but you know we've got to do it. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I noticed a family Saturday, husband and wife and 2 kids walking down the street checking them all out still. So that's really cool.
I make it a point actually when I'm driving downtown, if I see people standing around one, I pull over and go and talk with them. You know, because they could be from somewhere else, and, you know, we had a lot of people a couple weekends ago from Southwood that actually came down to take a look on our cranes, so. That's tourism.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
Anybody else? Okay. Public hearings. Okay, resolution. Resolution 2020-4, approving amended budget. Appropriation of funds for 2020 to authorize expenditures and revenues for the general fund and the 1 cent sales tax.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. So as you know, part of our budget process is to adopt the mid-year budget amendments for the previous year to allow for any additional appropriations or expenditures that may have come up through the year so far. We don't have as many this year as we've had in years past because, as you know, we've asked the directors to cut back on spending until we kind of knew what COVID was going to do and the impacts. So our budget is coming in under budget for the year. So as far as adjusting appropriations, there wasn't very many. So within the general fund, the only appropriation that we have was $162,954, and this is in association with the Sky High project. So if you notice on the resolution, it's basically an in and an out because we got the money in and we turned around and wrote the check for the expenditures associated with the project that day. And then if you recall, when we adopted our budget for this year, the 1 cent sales tax hadn't passed yet. So we had not created a budget for the 1 cent sales tax fund. So we do have a budget amendment for the revenue for that for 2020. And if you'll recall, our plan and our goal for the 2020 collection of the sales tax revenue for the 1 cent fund was basically to collect it this year and create a fund balance for it this year, and then starting with 2021 would begin the first year of appropriations for that money. So we won't actually budget for the expenditures for this fund until this coming budget process for 2021. So with that, I would ask that council approve resolution number 2020-04, a resolution approving an amended budget and appropriations of funds for the calendar year 2020 to authorize expenditures and revenues for the general fund and the 1 cent sales tax fund.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2020-04. Any more discussion? Nita?
Counselor Johnson?
Aye?
Counselor Locke? Aye. Counselor Foster?
Aye.
Counselor Segola?
Aye.
Mayor Becker?
Aye.
Motion carries to approve resolution 2020-04.
Thank you, Jenny. Contracts, agreements, and leases. City attorney. Have that balance. Oh, okay.
I was wondering if we got to review our notes.
You guys want to review the notes?
Pass it down to Gary. Here's Mayor. Send that down to Victor. Flip it over on the back and see who the reviewer is. Yeah.
applying. Okay, Alcon contract.
That's my godmother of my child. She's pretty colorful. More so than me, but hey, you know, beggars, right? Okay, here we go. So this evening, the City Council has for your consideration a proposal from Alcott Construction, Inc., general contractors, the same outfit that just took down those buildings, to start the rebuilding process. This is to install proposed storm drain lines and completion of the building pad that is to be built from the existing site material located on city property to the north of the rodeo arena. So this is in prep for the new building. So we're kind of biting off this apple in pieces. So the final, mostly the final plans for the new building are done. And part of that was with the actual building provider, but then we also had all these sub-consultants who were working on plans. So parts of that are still being bid, but we wanted to keep the project moving along. So I asked Alcon to prepare this piece. You remember we did the demolition was a piece as well. So we're also waiting on some other news, which I will tell you about tonight, which is good news. So unless there's any particular questions, staff would recommend that the council authorize the city manager to sign the acceptance proposal from Alcon Construction, Inc. in the amount of $175,000 and, or I'm sorry, $175,012.00. Why contractors do that, I don't know. Why can't it just be 175? I don't know, but that's the numbers. So I would hope the council would approve that this evening, and this work would actually start the day after fair ends, so next Monday.
This is part of the bid that we've all been talking about. This is not in addition to.
No, this is part of the total project cost, yes.
Okay.
We just cut it.
I just want to make sure
Right,
that
we,
we're going, hey.
right, Counselor, we
forgot
just
something.
sliced it, no, we didn't forget about it, it was always there, but we just sliced it into littler pieces. The next one will be large, I promise you, much larger.
And this is, Friends of Sky High pays for this, or does the city pay for this?
Friends of Sky High.
Okay.
Carl, you guys are paying for that, right?
I knew that the city and Friends knew what was going on. I just want to make sure that Alcon wasn't going, oh, we forgot this part. We
No.
have to do this."
Everything in it.
Okay.
Well, I move to approve the bid from Alcon Construction for the preparation work as described by the city attorney, city manager, and authorize the city manager to sign the approval.
Second one.
So we moved and seconded for the authorization for the city manager to sign the proposal for Alcon Construction. Is there any more discussion? Nita?
Counselor Foster?
Aye.
Counselor Savola?
Aye.
Counselor Locke?
Aye.
Counselor Johnson?
Aye.
Mayor Becker?
Aye.
Motion carries to approve to authorize city manager to sign the proposal contract for Alpha.
Outstanding, thank you. Here I am again. Okay, so,
Let's get
Skip
Jenny.
Jenny's proposal for
oh, I did that again. Sorry, no, come on. That's fine.
I actually caught it this time.
Thank you.
Usually it's me that missed it today.
I know, usually it's you, tonight it's me.
It wasn't showing at all.
Need your PowerPoint.
All right. So I am here also tonight to just give kind of a financial overview of the city finances as of May 2020. As you guys know, we're always 2 months behind on financials just because that's how long it takes to get the reports from the state and from the county. So as of May, things are looking really good. I'm not going to read through all of this because I get really tongue-tied, so I'm just going to talk on the high points. As Councilor Foster brought out to our attention earlier today with his email, our sales tax revenue is coming in 12% higher this year than it was last year. And so there's kind of a question of, we're in a pandemic, how does that happen? Two really good explanations for that, and I can't say it with 100% confidence because I'm still trying to get access to the state's website to verify it. But I believe a large portion of that is due to online sales. If you guys recall, there was a huge lawsuit that went to the federal courts, and you now have to collect sales tax for the city or wherever you ship your items to. So, you know, with everybody shifting to online sales because the stores were closed, I'm guessing that a large portion of that came from that. The other part that we saw is our grocery stores being flooded with a lot of hoarding buying, and we were not exempt from that here in the valley. We all saw that the shelves were bare with a lot of items. So I think that that's a large portion why our sales tax has gone up. The other thing I would just like to point out, you know, at the end of the year last year when I did my financial review, in 2008, the city of Monte-Vista didn't experience the same recession that the rest of the nation experienced. In fact, we showed growth even during that recession as well. The part that made the COVID pandemic really uncertain or hard to predict, and we still are in a lot of unknown, and we don't know what the rest of the year is going to bring by no means, but we're an agricultural valley. We're supported by agriculture. Come heck or high water, that's what's going to be our main commodity here. And so with that, during the pandemic, we didn't see the farmers shut down. They didn't close their doors. They weren't forced to close their doors. They were considered an essential business. So, you know, there was a lot of contributing factors to that. And the other reason why our financials look so good in May is because, again, we didn't know what was going to happen. None of us could have prepared for stores being shut down or people not having work. You know, you can plan for a recession, but how do you plan for no economy whatsoever or an economy completely crashing? So that made it tricky as well. So what we asked our directors and managers to do was we gave them some proposed budget cuts to try to stick to, and some of that meant that we didn't hire seasonal employees in the public works. You know, and Rob's guys have done a really good job of picking up the slack. They're overwhelmed, and I realize that a lot of things don't look like it has in the years past, but they're still doing a phenomenal job considering they're down 3 full-time people during the summer. Now they're seasonal people, but they work full-time during the summer. So that's 3 positions that Rob is down. And you know, when push comes to shove, unfortunately, personnel cuts are one of the quickest and fastest ways to do that, and we certainly did not want to have to cut any of our employees. So we felt that by not hiring for positions, we were able to eat some of those costs that came from there as well. So with that, you guys have my report. Do you have any questions or concerns about any of that? Anything you want me to touch base on that I haven't talked about?
No, it looked all good and very thorough as usual. I do appreciate the addendum that you sent out with the month-by-month sales tax revenues. That was good, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, and that gets updated every month, and I'm happy to send that out when we get it. Like I said, we should be getting June's numbers sometime next month or sometime next week. You know, and obviously July is going to be a skewed number. July is always a skewed number, but one important thing to realize that, you know, we love Stampede, and it does a lot for our businesses, but from a city standpoint, it's not a make or break month for us. There is a lot of overtime that goes in on the police department, on the public works department, in getting everything ready, providing extra security. So, we're not going to have those costs that are associated with that additional revenue. So I kind of think we'll probably break even. We're going to continue to monitor our expenditures closely, and hopefully we can get through the next few months. And there's things that we had planned for this year that we're probably not going to get to do, but we're hopeful that we can put that in our fund balance and maybe budget for it next year and do some of those things that we wanted to do this year and do them next year. So.
Yeah, the only number that caught my attention was on Sky High Park, which is the only number that's out of line on the budgeting process. Can you address that?
Where at?
Under Sky High Park.
In the general fund?
I think that's where I'm at.
Yeah, so if you recall, that was part of the budget amendment that I just had you guys do. So that's why it's going to be way over budget, is because it's an in and an out. So there will be offsetting revenue that will go with those appropriations, but we didn't know that that was going to be an expenditure when we did budget last year. So that's why that one's way off.
Very fine.
Okay? All right. Okay, Forrest, you can have it back.
Thanks, Jen.
Okay, where do I start? So I'm going to ramble a little bit this evening, Mayor, if you'll let me, because you know how much I love doing that.
You've never done that.
Because I love doing that. So, a couple things that I wanted to touch on that were not in the report I gave you, mostly not in the report I gave you, because, that was Monday when I wrote it, right? So, we had a basketball skills camp this week, Recreation did, and it was pretty awesome. The cap on it was 60 kids. It was put together with outside camp provider, and our recreation staff obviously assisted and set it up. We had 60 kids met the cap. We had to turn some kids away. The 60 was based upon safe practices and COVID distancing and all these other factors. It was the first time that we had this basketball camp. And I'll send you all some pictures tomorrow. I was a little technologically challenged. I didn't actually get them until a little bit before the meeting. But it was pretty cool, and Jaime was very excited. And he would be here to do his report tonight, but, well, he's Grandpa. So Grandpa just went off to, he just left to go on a trip to go see his new grandbaby. So he's like, well, I can come to the meeting. I'm like, you're driving, go ahead. So anyway, but he stuck out the whole camp, and it was really great. And so, I think it's amazing that even in the middle of COVID that we managed to do some really cool things. And that was a nice thing for the kids. And there were kids from there was, I think, 1 or 2 kids that came over from Grand Junction to go to this basketball camp. So we had Sanford, Saguache, Senator Lahara, and of course the majority was from Monte-Vista. So that was really cool.
Who conducted that? Was that Jaime?
Well, yeah, Jaime, and then we had an outside contractor that puts together the clinics.
Okay.
So, yeah, Jaime and Kim ran our end of it, and then they bring in coaches, and they had the right numbers, and it was really cool. So you all got an email from Rob Vance, our Public Works Director, this afternoon, and I thought I'd just hit on a couple of points if you all haven't seen it. Theme music, always good. So, a couple things, and we appreciate you, Councilor Foster, pointing out the trash can issue, which is an issue partly because we're shorthanded. Well, we're going to change the way we do trash starting Monday. We were kind of doing like a couple days a week, so there will be an employee that hits the trash cans. We do have a problem with people bringing trash from outside of town, not necessarily at that one, at Fulham later, but certainly at the park over here at Chapman. So we locked off the dumpster there, and now the trash cans are over there on the north side are getting pounded. And just the public edification, we're going to trail cam up there, and if your license plate's on there, you'll get a citation. Okay, they're for the public use of the park, not for people's personal trap. sorry, trash. Trash, I said trash. And I've worked with other communities we've had that were rural, had exactly the same problem. So, you know, and I'll also point out that we have a lot of park users who leave their trash just laying around the basketball courts over here, or a daily issue of bottles, water bottles, and mostly, right? And I think it's great. These kids are playing basketball, but they can pick up their own trash. I know it's a long walk for athletic people to walk to the trash can that's 100 yards away, but you know that could be the cool down for playing. So.
That's right.
I was just going to ask the council. I hadn't heard anything differently, but you know, we kind of went through the DCI process. Councilors Foster and Johnson got to endure that joy. Sorry, and. You know, I think it was a really nice presentation the DCI did for us via Skype, but, you know, I still think the issue is that, and I don't know how to say this delicately, I perfectly respect that there's COVID issues, but how many active COVID cases are there in Rio Grande County or even Alamosa County? Not a ton. So I think that DCI, they deal with a lot of communities and they do important work, but they're kind of geared to COVID recovery. As you just heard from our financial report, that's not a huge impact on our community. So we have a couple choices. We can delay any more process with them till next year, or we can stop. You know, cold turkey, and either one is fine based on the council's wishes. So I don't know if you all have any feelings on that. You know, quick straw poll, but. Okay.
Yeah, I've made my feelings regarding DCI vocal before. And we'll,
They do a beautiful PowerPoint.
they do a beautiful PowerPoint. To summarize what I think I had said before about that, I feel that we could come up with at least as good of a plan, if not better, ourselves. In which case I have no problem showing them the door.
So this is specifically about the program that the center participated in.
Well, honestly, Counselor, I don't see that we're being offered that. You know,
Really?
I don't see that is where we went with Summit, or, you know, that was what was talked about, what center got in their presentation, what they got, but I don't see that that's really offered to us in a practical sense because of COVID, right? We didn't have the summit in the springs that we were all going to go to, so we're not bringing back this ideas of this activism that center followed, and I think it worked nicely in center, but it's a very hands-on, tangible, you know, kind of thing, and I really liked what happened in center and how it worked, but I just don't see that for us.
Right.
In the, you know, I don't know when all this mess is over, but this year, probably not. You know, I'm sure you're all aware that the Potato Festival is canceled, or if you're not aware of that, it is. Yeah, I didn't know that before today, but some other people apparently did. But we were talking with the chief about, you know, what were we going to do with National Night Out, because we delayed that because of COVID, and then the national one was rescheduled to the first weekend in October, which, you know, for here is a little crazy, but if you see what's going on in the nation right now and cancellations and stuff, it's unlikely that happens. We were thinking if the Potato Festival was going on, we'd piggyback with that, but once again, that's not happening. So we kind of confirmed that today. So I don't see that we could have a productive format like what we wanted when we originally got into it and what the proposal was. So from a staff standpoint, this is just the year that it is, and I don't see it as a thing to go forward with right now. Honestly, I'm really encouraged by the work the Chamber's doing, and that we have two counselors for sure that are very interested in economic development. Can we home grow some stuff? Yeah, I think so. So, you know, if you all decide you don't want to go forward, then we'll turn back the grant portion that we have from the state, which is $10,000. I already talked to Christy Dune about it, and that's not an issue. I mean, I explained what I thought were our reasons. She's like, I understand that. you know, if it wasn't this year, it'd be totally different. The whole thing would have been different. We would have all gone to the Springs. And I think the design that they have for that could be really good, but we're not going to see that.
Well, I'd certainly be in favor of unveiling the whole process. I agree with you.
So I'll take that as a bail. Okay.
You got my
Secret ballot.
Please.
Okay. You know, and they really are great folks. This is our extraordinary times, but, you know, I can say that in my job, as we ran into this COVID stuff, I was super highly concerned about everything and what would happen to our community. And it has hurt some of our businesses without a doubt. You know, I think working on how to help them, and we're trying to do stuff for the city, and there's other grants and things that are coming out, which we're passing on to chambers, putting that information out there. There are resources, and I'm trying to remember whose call I was on today that they were talking about in Rio Grande County, businesses got $7.5 million worth of CARES Act fund, which I was a little astounded by that number. But that's good, right? I thought it would be lower. And then there's some more of that. Man, who was I talking to? But SBA has been talking about that. So there's been some assistance. Is it enough? Not as much as it could be, but you know, Monty's pretty good at weathering the storm. You know, and the crops look pretty good, although listen to the crop report, I'm not going to get into that, but sorry, I do ramble, as you know. And why am I rambling? Because I'm kind of delaying talking about something that's really, really exciting, because that's always too good, right? And that is this lovely letter that was on your desk, on the dais, right there. And thanks to the Friends of Sky High and some work on our part, Rick Garcia, the Executive Director of the Colorado Department of Local Affairs, gladly tells us that we are awarded $1 million towards the completion of the Sky High Park multi-purpose facility project.
All right.
And basically, they gave us 9 months. So it's a last in, last out grant, which is fine. Give us 9 months to, from the date of this letter, which was August 6th, to raise the matching funds. So that's good. I think we're pretty good. You know, there's a bunch of legal language in here, which I understand, and Mike does, but not necessary, but it's like, yay. So I already just sent an email to Christy Dune this afternoon. I didn't get this till a little bit later today. And so we'll start working on that end, but that's good. That is good, you know. And in case anybody thought when the buildings came down, the project wasn't on, just in case, but it's on, so. Okay, yeah, I think that is enough rambling stuff. Obviously, I'm kind of excited. I usually ramble when I'm excited. I think it's exciting. Thank you for approving the contract with Alcon this evening, because next week, that next part starts. So the fact that this community can come together and do this, I will also say that I think the last report I sent you, there was $399,000 in state tax credit donations. And that is a wide range of donations from $100 ones up to, you know, $40,000, $50,000 kind of things. And with a couple checks I got today, we're now over $399. Actually, I think it's $412. So they keep coming in. So that's pretty awesome. And a lot of that is Friends Sky High, Carla and Kathy and stuff, going out and talking to people and getting that going. And they're working on grants. It's really exciting. So. Guess we can buckle up.
It's great. Considering what we've done through the last 4 months, 5 months.
Right.
It's come together like this.
I mean, it's a pretty darn good day in Monte-Vista. So, And appreciate you all for your leadership, and I think I took my time, right?
Thank you, Forrest. Nita?
Good evening, Council. So tonight I wanted to report on the Valley 3 Theater. You probably have all seen the paper that came out Wednesday. The Valley 3 Theater is a pivotal economic institution for the downtown in Monte-Vista. Our mission is to bring modern culture to our small town and to provide a safe and fun, accessible environment for local youth, families, to see interesting movies and to socialize. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we had to shut down March 2020. We have been shut down since. The day that we got news that we could reopen, we reopened with the intent to show a movie that following weekend on a Monday. Put in the movie and discovered that our projector is down. We contacted the projector company and asked them to come and take a look at it. At that time, they didn't want to come and take a look at it. They kept trying to diagnose it over the phone, telling us that the projector was toast and it just wasn't going to happen. The board met. We all agreed that we weren't going to take that answer, that we wanted them to be here in person to look at the projector. Unfortunately, they did come down and look at the projector, and our projector it's out. It's the lighting in the projector, so when it shows up on the screen, there's lines across the movie. To replace that projector is going to cost the theater $30,000. They told us, we asked if they had a payment plan for that. They do not. They did suggest that we contact CMA theaters that are going out of business to maybe purchase a projector at a cheaper cost. We are still looking into that. Although that the building is owned by the City of Monte-Vista, the Valley 3 Theater Board is working on getting our own nonprofit status and operates the theater in a way that keeps it affordable and fun for all the citizens in San Luis Valley. We have put out a GoFundMe page. Currently, our GoFundMe page is sitting at about $500. We've asked for help with the project to be $33,000. That would include replacing the projector, and it would also include money to allow us to fix up one of the other theaters. Last summer, we received a donation from the Creed Repertory Theater, which was a lighting for stage lighting. And they had proposed that if we fixed up one of the theaters, that they would be willing to look at possibly coming down and doing some productions in our theater. So we are asking the community to help us, not just to replace the projector, but to help us so we can build. So what it would be is behind Theater 3, right? So behind the curtain, there's actually another room. That room could become a dressing room, prop room, that type of thing. It's going to cost about $10,000, roughly close to $10,000 to fix that up to meet the recommendations that was given to us by Creed Repertory Theater. So what we put in the GoFundMe is not just to replace the projector, but to also fix up that theater. We're not asking, hey, everybody give us that money and that's it. If we can get enough money just to repair our projector, that's what we're looking for. We've had some community members that have come forward outside of the GoFundMe page and have donated a little bit of money. So at this point in time, the theater is down and out. We've talked about hosting different events there, but with COVID, it's really hard to get any of those events planned. We talked a little bit about having Native American dancers in there during the Native American Art Festival. We've talked about having one stand-up comedians come in. We do have a lead on that right now, so we're not just sitting back and not doing anything. The theater board is working very hard at trying to get other things going in the theater. We also sell popcorn on Fridays and Saturday nights, so people can come in and buy popcorn, and the other concessions. We aren't doing drinks at this time because we just got hit with more bad news yesterday. Our ice maker went down, and there's nobody that has returned our calls to come out and repair it or even look at it. So if you know of anybody who has an ice maker, we're looking. So I just wanted to update you on that. If citizens are watching, we do have a GoFundMe page. We know it's tough times, so we're not asking for a lot, but we're hoping for a miracle. Excuse me. Any questions?
Elaborate on me a little bit the goal of the Creed repertoire thing. We're talking about, it sounds like we're bringing in, which I think is a great idea, live theater. Is it possible to also, is there plans also to bring in maybe bands or retrofit anything so that you could do some form of live entertainment along those lines too, or is that in the mix or anything like that?
So keep in mind that we've literally have met with the Creed Repertory Theater twice. They donated the lighting. They proposed that if we did the changes in the back, that they would be interested in looking at bringing some of their acts to Monte-Vista to the theater. So since last summer, we haven't pursued them as much as, they haven't pursued it either.
Good.
Yes, we want for them to come in and do live acts. And in the past, we have had live bands. We actually have a stage that the city owns, and we put it in the large theater in front of the screen on the floor. And gosh, was it 2016? 2016, I believe. We had a tribute band come in, the Beatles tribute band, and we made a lot of money on it. So yes, that is something that we definitely will do and definitely have looked at. But unfortunately, because of COVID, our hands are tied on what we can do in the theater. We have a lot of great ideas. We're pursuing a lot of great ideas. It's just how far can we go to make it work with all the guidelines in place.
Right.
And I do get emotional because I have been involved with this since day one. Forrest and I have been involved. And I don't want to see the theater fall.
How much funds do you have? Like, I know we're down to like $5 million.
No, I don't know that you guys have done any of your information this year. I would have to look at everything.
Yeah, I don't think we, yeah.
It's like, I think we had appropriated $5,000.
Or maybe we might consider just
That's good.
Thank you. Who's gonna do Jaime's report?
Do you have any questions for me here? Are you all in? It's all related to him when he comes back. When Grandpa. Grandpa comes back?
Yeah, ask him if the grandkid's cute.
Yeah, we saw pictures.
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody has it for them, so we're gonna go to Superwoman. Mika?
Good evening. All right, Connection finished out our summer program today. We made it through we made it through 7 full weeks of summer. I don't know how we did. We had a lot of fun this summer. We had a lot more like one-on-one time with the kids. Don't get me wrong, we still had major challenges to overcome, but just interacting with the kids more on a one-on-one level and smaller group sizes, we really got to know our kids really well this summer. So it was nice just to have that opportunity because we have close to 100 kids during the summer. You remember names and faces, but you don't get to know much about them. So we got to have just a lot more one-on-one with them this summer. We finished out, let's see, today I had, we ended up like 32 kids total today. Our kindergarten through second graders, their staff really wanted to reward them today, so I was like, you go for it. I'm not stepping in that room this afternoon. But they did a water fight at Bill Metz. They had a bunch of stations set up. They brought like cornhole, they had the big pong cups, like the extra big ones. One of my staff members is a college student, so she had lots of fun games for kids, so we definitely made them appropriate for them. They had like 15 different stations set up for those little kids, and they had so much fun. And I had one staff member who they were always giving a hard time because she was kind of the meaner staff member, or the more stern staff member in the room. And so she stood up and she was like, all right, guys, I'm going to let you squirt me. So they had these water guns, and she was like, anyone that wants to squirt me, go for it. Every one of those kids lined up. And we actually had one boy walk up and get his gun and looks at her and he goes, payback. So they had a lot of fun this morning. They were soaking wet, but they enjoyed it. Rio Grande Prevention Partners was actually a big key to our success this summer with our older group of kids. At the beginning of the summer, we were looking at what we could possibly do with those kids because we weren't going to be able to do much community outreach and taking the kids out in the community to do like the community garden. My staff members had some really amazing ideas that there was just no way I could allow them to do that this year. But Rio Grande Prevention Partners reached out to a bunch of organizations, and they organized a different organization for 5 weeks in a row to do a Zoom meeting with our kids and teach them something. And so it was every Monday for the first 5 weeks of the summer. We had the Rio Grande Water Conservation group. We had the Rio Grande Farm Park. The workforce presented twice. Once was on some career readiness stuff, and then another was a like a confidence building activity. And then Rio Grande Prevention Partners actually started it for them. So they had like I said, a different group every week that gave our kids something to do, something to challenge them to like think about what we have around the valley and things that they can travel with their parents to go check out. At the end, so last Thursday, they rewarded those kids with a pizza party, and they gave out some certificates for their participation, and they gave out some prizes. Some of our kids won like $5 Dairy Queen gift certificates. They did a poster contest, and their posters are actually hanging up at Dairy Queen, so if you guys want to check them out. One of our boys they have a very large family. We knew if we sent the gift certificate home, he probably wasn't going to be able to use it for himself, and he saw it. The first thought that came to his mind was like, which sibling can I buy something for? So we were like, how about we keep this, and next week we will take you to Dairy Queen ourselves. So Jesse actually walked him over yesterday and went and got him a Blizzard, and they sat down and they chatted for a while. But just a look on his face, because there's so many kids in that family that they don't ever really get that much one-on-one. He was just so pumped to like think that he could have something for himself. So that was a huge reward for our GPP to hear about that yesterday. So right now I'm in the process of moving on to the school year. We're going to be assisting Bill Metz with their crazy schedule transition for the first quarter. Their 3rd through 5th graders will be going 50-50 AM, PM classes. So we are going to help with that transition of those AM and PM kids and still provide some half-day care for those parents that need the half-day care for those kids when they're not in school on those days. We'll also be including some of our middle schoolers, because they'll be going every other day, so there'll be 2 days of the week that some parents have nowhere for them to go or don't have anybody reliable for them. So those middle schoolers will come to us on those off days and help us with the younger groups of kids. With us doing that, we will be able to provide service to 20 a.m. kids, 20 p.m. kids, and then we're setting our cap for our after-school program at 55 kids a day. Bill Metz has some things in the works with sectioning off the playground so that we can make sure we keep our group sizes small enough to where I only have to have one staff member with those groups. But it's going to be like all hands on deck for sure for this first quarter. When the school reevaluates at the 7-week mark to determine what the second quarter will look like, then we will reevaluate and see what we need to do to help them with that. During the first quarter, we will not be operating a Friday program just because staff are going to be working Monday through Thursday most full days to help with that transition. We don't run a Friday program during the summer anyway. It's kind of an extension of that. We figured 1 day of care for kids was a lot easier than potentially 2 to 3 days throughout the week during the school year. So we put that out there so that parents are aware of that. And then, like I said, at the end of that 7-week mark, when the school reevaluates what they're going to do, if they do go back into full session for the second quarter, Kids Connection will resume its regular after-school program and our Friday program. But until we know when that will happen, we're holding off on those Fridays to save some extra support during the school year. It'll also give us the opportunity to really give those kids extra homework help throughout the week, because there's going to be 1 full day for or 2 full days of the week that they have to do online work or take homework that more than likely won't get done without somebody on top of them constantly reminding them. And then the same thing with the AM PM kids. When they're not in school, they'll have work to do at home. And we figured it was a perfect opportunity for us to get hands-on with that either in the morning or the afternoon for those sessions. So hopefully by, next month I should have some news about what will happen for the second quarter. So a couple awesome things that happened this summer. We received a grant from the NRPA for $10,000 to boost our summer meal service program, which is really weird because the check actually came in today and our summer program's over. But they knew that when they pushed that out, it was going to fall at the end of the summer and it probably wouldn't boost those meals. But because we were providing meals to kids throughout the week as well, we can still utilize those funds. So I did spend a chunk of it on kitchen equipment so that we can provide different options for meals rather than frozen burritos that we can't heat up or just prepackaged food. Yeah. Bean and cheese burritos and egg burritos that were pre-cooked and sent to us. And we weren't allowed to reheat them, so the kids had to eat them cold. And they were not happy about that. So now I will have the ability to reheat those burritos. When they realize we get to warm up food for the first time, they're going to be like, what is happening? And then I have a little thing that I'm going to read. In June, I was notified that Kids Connection was named a successor in a family trust and that we would be expecting a check from the trust sometime this year. Well, that check came in. Longtime center resident Larry Reed passed away on April 16th, 2020. Larry moved to the San Luis Valley in the late 60s to start farming from the ground up. For the next 50 years, he lived his dream of running a farm and working the land farming potatoes and wheat. He married the love of his life, Vivian Janice Todd in Monte-Vista, and although they never had children of their own, I was told that they adored any program that made children a priority. Kids Connection has been beyond blessed to be included in their final wishes, and the Reed Family Trust left Kids Connection $50,000. Yeah. I had no words. I was afraid to say the word 50,000 out loud in case over the phone it was 15, and I was like, it's 50, but 15 would have been amazing too. And it couldn't have come at a better time. We haven't had luck with grantors this year. This definitely made a difference for the program. So and that's all I have for you guys.
Congratulations.
That had nothing to do with me. I never met Mr. Reed. I know he was a member of the Methodist Church here in Monte-Vista. So I'm assuming that he either saw our building or a church member there mentioned our program to him, and that's how we ended up there. But we were just, I'm still in shock. You guys have any questions for
Don't
me?
ever short yourself. You get a lot of credit.
I don't like taking the credit.
You get out there and you get it done, because you don't be silent about it. You do a tremendous job for this community, so.
Thank you. I have an amazing team with me, so I don't like to take all the credit, because if they weren't doing the work that I asked them to do, I couldn't do it by myself. I mean, I'm sure I could, but I don't want to have to. So they deserve just as much credit as I do.
Well, you can pass that on.
I will. I will.
It's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reed.
Yes.
For your family.
Mr. Mayor, quickly before you
Yes,
move
sir.
on, yeah, and Amika's team, those guys are rock stars, but it doesn't happen.
That's exactly right.
And then also back to your question, the finance director researched the amount of money you have available was $4,500.
Board of Council Committee, City Commission, Council reports. So we will start with you, Victor.
All right, well, since we brought up the theater earlier, what do you guys think about donating $1,000?
$1,000?
Yeah.
I'd be in favor of that.
Not 15.
We need an auctioneer.
Yeah.
Do I hear 17, 17, 17?
Mr. Mayor, could I throw in my 2 cents? 1995. Well, you know what might be fun? I think it's a great idea for the council to do this, and whatever the number is, say it's $1,500, do it as a match. Get it out there, and just make sure that if from this day forward, once communities added $1,500 to that GoFundMe, the city council will add $1,500 to it.
Excellent.
And honestly, like, even if but it gives them an incentive
Tell them that.
to build, to gain some more funds.
Don't write that.
Yeah, no. Unless it's coming directly from
Victor said.
So, I mean, you could do a dollar for dollar match up to $1,500, and that is more towards what Councilor Segal is suggesting, but it kind of creates a little competition. So if someone puts in $5, the city puts in $5, up to $1,500.
We need to make a motion on this. So give me the screen.
You are appropriating funds, yes.
Oh,
So I will move to donate to the theater, $1,500.
good. Yeah.
And with the matching,
On a one-for-one matching basis.
on a matching one-for-one basis,
I second that. What he said.
It's a pimp. So moved, right? It's been moved and seconded. The council is going to donate to the GoFundMe dollar for dollar management of community members for $1,500. Is there up to $1,500? Is there any more discussion?
Are you looking looking at me like I was supposed to say something, so, you know, that is check. I'm cool.
You're on the theater group.
Counselor Foster?
Aye.
Counselor Locke?
Aye.
Counselor Johnson?
Aye.
Counselor Segala?
Aye.
Mayor Becker?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you guys very much.
Mr. Johnson? Victor, did you get anything? I'm good. Mr. Johnson?
Yes, sir, just a couple of things. First of all, the Rio Grande Prevention Partners, I'm on that committee with Tanika and several other civic-minded people. That's the hidden gem in this county, I really believe. And I made a comment at our last meeting that we need to be ambassadors and get this word out. The acronyms are RGPP and then CTC, which is Communities That Care. A phenomenal evidence-based, proven program designed to reach kids. It's a broad program, but one of the main thrusts is reaching kids before they ever experience drugs and fixing the problem at its source rather than just prevention, and more than just prevention or treatment. In any case, just be aware of that. There's a newsletter in here, which I wish we could get out, maybe on the website. It is on their website, Rio Grande Prevention Partners, which is, what's their website? RG. Okay, okay, sure. Which is riograndecounty.org, I believe. So in any case, the people that are listening, and for us here, I am overwhelmed with how phenomenal a program that is. I heard the story about the blizzard on our last Zoom meeting, and the Kids Connection and High Valley Community Center. Also, it's all about the youth, and not about reaching out and helping the youth because they just need so much help. It's about bringing them in to leadership positions within Rio Grande Prevention Partners and Communities of Care. And there's a lot of that on that newsletter that's in your packet here, but apparently available on the website also. I just want to get that shout out. It is not heard of much, but Anika knows as well, probably better than anybody, about what a phenomenal outreach that is that gets the kids involved. So look into that and get at least aware of it. And there are programs that are available for the community to get involved. And I'm going to try and get some more detail on that for our next meeting. I just want to get that message out as much as I possibly can. The other thing, I was on a virtual meeting with the League of Cities, which I've never really been involved much in, but they had a staff of folks, not the least of which was from all around the country, mayor of San Antonio, which is where my son is, and his name is Nurburgring or something like that. It was spelled differently, so I don't think it's part of the family, but he had a great presentation. What they were talking about was getting in touch with our federal officials to make sure, and I appreciate what you had to say, Forrest, about the money coming into Rio Grande County. It turns out across the country and across the board, cities have been left out of the CARES Act in general, and not necessarily left out, but some of it's left at the discretion of governors, which doesn't always filter back down to the cities as it's intended. And I don't know all the details about that, but I do know the general consensus was that cities have been ignored, and there is there's a new CARES Act or whatever it's called coming out that they had some strong presentations to regarding getting the cities some funding, all cities and towns, no limit on how small the town happens to be. This cutoff at 500,000 on the original act was completely ruled out. Well, every city with one in the state of Colorado. So in any case, I did follow their advice and get in touch with Senator Gardner and Senator Bennett and Representative Tipton to make sure that that happened. So haven't heard anything about it. I don't know how strong my voice was, and hopefully there were several, but we'll see. I don't know if that bill is passed yet or what happened with that. But I just wanted to throw that out, that there's some folks out there working in behalf of all the towns and cities around Colorado, at least, where around the country actually, where the help is really needed. So in any case, I just wanted to pass that on. And remember those acronyms, RGPP and CTC are things that are providing an outreach to our youth that is indispensable. That's your institution.
Well, Mr. Hanco covered most of the chamber stuff, so that's what I was going to concentrate on, but I want it to be known that when he stands up there and says we, he's doing this with the chamber's support, that he is doing it with just a couple of them. It's not the chamber doing it. It's not the city doing it. It's Mr. Hancock doing it. And I think he deserves some recognition for that. He has sat through, I have no idea how many hours of DCI, CTO, ABC. I have no idea how. I sat through a few of them. Yeah, RPGs. You know,
RPC, RAP.
You know, I sat through a few of them and I walked away because they were doing nothing.
Yeah.
But he stuck with it and pulled out basically what they're not doing and started doing it. I think that's something to be said. I think that our citizens don't always get the credit that they need to get. I know that last week Larry mentioned Miss Margot, she's not here tonight. She takes care of the flowers. And I know she doesn't do that on her own. And I don't know who the people are that are with her. Excuse me? The garden club. You know, I think they need to be recognized. We need to understand that our citizens run the city a whole lot more than we do. And our biggest part, I think, is that we need to give them the support that they need. We need to help them find ways to get things done instead of just saying, in some cases, oh no, we can't do that. I'd love to never hear, oh no, we can't do that. I'd love to hear, this is how we can. And I think that we're getting to a point that we can do that. I think we're getting to a point that our citizens are going to start demanding that we do that. And I don't think it's a bad place to be. So this coming week is full of some more things that I know that Mr. Hancock's doing and some of the people that are working with him are doing. And I'm going to join them a little bit, but not a whole lot, because honestly, I'm seeing what they're doing on their own, and they're doing a good job. I don't want to get in the way, but I want to be here to give them the support that they need to do that. I think our city has done well through this whole COVID thing, and I'd like to reiterate something that I've heard our mayor say, and I think it needs to be said over and again. We just need to learn to get back to looking out for our neighbor and taking care of each other. And if we can get that done, we can stop the big one.
Very well said. Mary?
Well, I would say that I'm very excited. It's exciting times here in Monte-Vista. We got new houses. We got a new, sky highs coming in. There's a lot of real positives going on. It coincided with me being elected, but I realized that that's not really what it is.
No, that was definitely it.
Yeah, so did COVID. I realize it has more to do with the dashing good looks of our mayor. But it is an exciting time because it looks like we dodged the COVID bullet, which stung a lot of other people, and we kind of took a step backwards. We had some momentum, we got some energy, and we kind of had to take a recess. I'm looking forward to getting past this and kind of regrouping things and taking that energy again and going places. It's an exciting time to be here. Your turn.
Glad you showed up.
Glad you came on board so we can get all this stuff done. Like Larry said, all the exciting things that are going on, the Sky project, the houses that are being built, the subdivisions that are going on. It's exciting to be in Monte-Vista. A lot of things that are happening. Mike, welcome aboard. Again, thank you for what you've done, and be prepared to have our backs, because I'm sure, speaking for myself, I probably will. Chief, make sure you're keeping an eye out for us. But go back to what Martha said. We're Monty strong. I'm going to stick to that term, Monty strong, because that's what we're after. For the Sky High Park, I've been working on this project for 20 plus years. Monty strong. Okay. And persistence. That lady ain't giving up. I guarantee you that. But it's all of us. It's taking all of us. Mika, it takes a village to raise a child. There's our village right there. But all of us. So it is exciting, and remember what Martha said. Look after your neighbor. There's been so much. I'm trying to be PC on this, guys. So I know
Just
I'm
say
not
it.
too, so
Just say it.
no, because it's bad. We don't always know a person's conditions. So when you go to pass judgment on somebody for not wearing a mask, maybe think just a little bit through that in respect to those who wear a mask. But remember, when you're pointing one finger at somebody, three's pointing back at you, and the last and final judgment will be called, and none of us can say what's going to happen because we have to answer the believers. So with that being said, we'll adjourn the meeting to August 20th. Thank you all for